a referring individual would be like a doctor in that medical practice. Okay? And so to look at the entities, I've clicked on the referring entities entry on the menu here, and I'll just click add, and I'll put in a new referring entity. And now I'll go to referring individuals.
And notice you can set the system there. So for example, the health system could be Johns Hopkins, and Pavel Health Center there could be one of the Hopkins clinics.
So I've created a new individual here, Dr. Sasha, and I've put Dr. Sasha in the Pavel Health Center, which is the entity that I just created, and I could also add email, phone number, and so forth. Okay, so adding the entities and the individuals is pretty straightforward. It works just like the other things on the website do. Now, let me go ahead and add a referral now. So I'll click on referrals on the menu, and I'll go to General and click Add Referral, and will refer me, and I'll choose the referring individual is the doctor that I entered before, and I can enter address and phone number and all of that sort of thing. One of the important things I can add here is the class that this person's enrolled in. I won't do that just yet. Okay, so I've added that referral, and now that I've got the referral in the computer system, now of course we're going to call that person and see if I can sign them up for a workshop. And so I call them, and let's say that they tell me that they're not sure what their schedule is, so they want me to call them back in 2 weeks. So I'll click on Next Contact and say Contact Needed, and I'll choose a date that's 2 weeks out. And save that change. Okay? So now we've added the referral, and we know that we need to call this person back in 2 weeks and find out if they know what their schedule is so that they can attend a workshop. Now let's suppose 2 weeks from now I call them and I don't get an answer, so I leave a message. And I want to store that information. To do that, I'll go to the Past Contacts tab, and I'll add a new contact, and I can choose what's called a handler, and the handler is just somebody who's handling the referrals. So I'll say Harry Test Hand 3 is the name of the handler. So I called and I left a message. Every time you contact them, you can add a new contact on this list. So I'll call them again in a couple of days and say, okay, so we've got a record here of everything that's happened. I called and left a message, then they presumably called me back, I returned their call, left another message. Now let's suppose I finally get a hold of this person and they say, you bet, I want to sign up for that workshop. So I'll go to the General tab and I'll choose the workshop that I want to have them, I want to sign them up for, and then save the changes. So we've got a complete record of everything that happened for this referral. We know what practice referred it. We know what physician referred it. We know every time I called them. We know when I need to call them back. We know what workshop they signed up for. All of that is stored up in here. Now, if I want to see a report of referrals, I can go to print.
In the confirmation box, the confirmation letter box.
Okay.
Just wanted to point that out, that it's also set up so that if you want to track that you've confirmed with them, there's a box to click there. And when you guys are doing studies moving forward, because you know you will, in terms of randomization, you can track that here, whether they're in the control group, meaning they're in the study, but they're not going to be taking the class initially, or whether they're in the intervention group. That's there as well as a note field for anything special you need to follow up and know about that particular referral. Thanks, Terry.
So I'll go to print now, and I'll print a report, and I'm only printing it for this one referral. And you can see that I've got a list of all the calls that I've made and a date when I have to contact them again. Okay. Now that I've taken you through all that, let me show you a couple of the things that you can search for. If I want to, I can just search for all the referrals. To do that, I just leave everything blank and hit the search button, and I'll get all 2 of them. There's only 2 of them right now. If I wanted to, I could say, just show me the people who are due for a callback. And that'll catch this person that I picked a date that I'm supposed to call them back on. Or I could choose people who are enrolled. And I think I didn't actually enroll that person. Let me try enrolling them again. Whoops. I think when I picked the class, I didn't hit the Save Changes button. So I'll do that again. Now if I search for people who are enrolled, I'll see that one person because they're enrolled in a class. Okay. Are there any questions about that? I went through it sort of quick, but
that's really nice, Harry. I think it's going to really be good.
That's excellent.
Good.
It is. I think it's too bad that you don't have Jill sitting in on this, but Felicia and Leanne, you can probably catch her up on this with the recording at some point, right?
Definitely. We can walk her through that.
Yeah. And
I think it's really nice because you can keep so many notes in here, and when you print out these reports, this is one of the things that people really, really, really like about this referral system, is that it gives the practices all the different information about how many times you've tried to reach people and also what they're saying back. That's where I don't have a chronic condition, I don't know what they're talking about, or I would go but I don't have the money for a cab. You know, that kind of information is really valuable for the referring practices. And so
and would that go under notes? Is that where you would put that additional information, Lindsay?
Yes. So if you're putting the contact in, Harry can show you where that goes. And
right.
The notes on the front page, I would put something like, make sure to talk to his wife too, or something. That would be something that would just be an internal thing. And then on the Contacts tab, that would be where I put the Mr. McIntosh says.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay,
and sometimes it's once a day class, once a night class, callback in January. You know, but that then gives the next person who's making the call the information, so that, you know, if you have 100 different people you're working with, you can pick up the conversation where you left off.
Sure. Well, and I think the other thing I believe we would get would be, you know, this person has diabetes, or this person has whatever, that may want to go in here as well. So it could easily go in one of these note places, I'm guessing, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I would probably put that up here on the General tab.
Okay.
Yeah, if you have that information, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
And then you'll see there's also a notes box under the enrolled category. So you can make a note there about, for example, it might be enrolled and his brother Greg is also going to attend with his wife, or something like that about the enrollment.
Yeah.
But having that list of classes right there that you can pull up just saves you having to leave this area to go look for something else.
Yeah. That's great. So as classes are scheduled, then we have to make sure that we really keep that part maintained. That will come from Felicia entering it here, or theoretically it will come from the state website as an import, right?
Right, and once the class is entered, it will automatically show up on that pull down.
Okay.
Right.
So you don't have to do anything different except enter classes the way you normally would.
So I guess this is a question for Felicia. Right now, Felicia, are you entering classes as they're scheduled? You are, correct?
Okay, I'm sorry, what was that again, Sue? Say that again.
You are entering workshops the minute that somebody schedules a workshop and tells you this workshop is occurring tomorrow night for the next 7 weeks. You're putting that in the database right now.
I'm not putting it in the database, no, but we do have a spreadsheet that we're putting it in.
So,
you mean upcoming classes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
the upcoming are in the spreadsheet.
It sounds like, though, they should be entered here when you know they're being scheduled, so that you could pull directly here. So that's just an internal thing we'll have to discuss and think about. But in other words, in order to do the referrals, those classes need to be already in this database with a start date.
So we have to put them in the database so that they can pull from those.
Okay.
Results.
Yeah. And then once you've got this connected to your website, your Mac website, that's how it's going to show you all the classes that are coming up. So
Right.
Okay.
And that's kind of what we've been waiting for, and that we've needed that our server has been unable to do.
Yeah. So for now, Felicia, you probably should enter them off of the spreadsheet into the database.
Okay.
I'm guessing.
Okay.
Because for example, so let's say Jill's got a packet, you know, she picks up her referrals, and she's got 4 of them. In order for her to do her tracking and everything, she's going to need to be able to know where those classes are.
Right. So I'm just going to have to make sure that everybody gives me their complete information regarding the classes.
Right.
Because a lot of times I don't get all of the information that I need.
Yeah, you're right. You're right, and that's the discipline that all of us are going to have to provide to you.
Right.
Right.
Right, and then that won't be a problem at all.
I tell you that part of the how we get around that is if you want us to help get people in your classes, you have to tell us when the classes are. And that that seems to help people remember to do that. And especially once they see that you really are seriously going to help make referrals and get people in classes, it'll be worth it to them to give you all the correct information from the start.
Yeah, yeah. And for right now, I mean, we're very lucky because right now it's only Mac. You know, pretty soon it will also be Johns Hopkins and it'll be Meritus. And who knows when it'll be everybody else. But I mean, thank goodness it isn't the whole state that we have to worry about this right this minute for referral. But that will come.
Yes, that will come. And then the referral handler tab. Harry, do you want to just explain what that is?
Well, when you went into past contacts and added a new contact, you picked who it was handled by. Well, the way that you enter this list of people that are handlers is by going to the Referral Handlers tab, and I can add I hope I spelled your name right. I can add Felicia there, and now she'll appear on the handlers list as being one of the people who handles referrals.
Okay.
She's got a new job title now.
Oh, yeah? What's your title?
Handler now.
Handler.
Oh, handler. I thought. Sorry. I get it. I am Felicia the handler.
Yes. There you go.
Well, don't you feel like you heard Kat? So this is your job now. Handler and herder.
There you go.
That's great. I know you built this from your referral system. It gives us much more than I anticipated we were going to get. So
absolutely. This is excellent.
Yeah.
I'm glad. So how we ended up building this was when we were working with the Cancer Thriving and Surviving, when we were doing the translational research with the University of Colorado Cancer Center and Stanford, we had hundreds of names we had to follow, hundreds and hundreds at once. And out of those, we had to contact people, figure out who was eligible, who wasn't eligible, report back to multiple partners, and then also track who was going into a class and who was going to be in sort of a waiting list and that we could then contact in 6 months and then enroll them in the class. And we were making ourselves crazy trying to do it all from spreadsheets and to track all the different calls and contacts and things. And Harry built this for us to be able to manage that size and intensity of a program. And so it really can make life much easier. And I think it really saved our sanity. I will say that.
It's great. And we may next year actually have someone who is doing some research, and it would be thrilling for her to be able for us to do potentially a control group as well. We're far from that at this point, but this built-in capacity may actually be something that we'll use. So
great. May I just give you one other little helpful hint, which is on the referring entities. You can set up either referring entities or a referring individual as self-referral, so that if you want to track people that you need to be contacting, but rather than a physician referring them directly, they have seen the information somewhere, but you still need to track contacts, you can do it that way. And it will just, you can keep those folks separate, but still be able to track all your contacts with them.
Any questions?
No.
So they know everything. That's perfect.
Yeah,
Well,
it looks great. It looks great. Here's what our last conversation, we talked about having the ability to add data elements to both the demographic and to the pre and post, correct? I'm sorry, I've forgotten what you call it, like editor or something. I don't have the right name for that.
Oh, the survey editor.
Yeah.
Yes and no. So the survey editor is designed to do one piece of that, but not all of the pieces. So the survey editor is designed. Carrie, can you explain it? You'll do a better job because I confused myself.
Let me see if I can pull up a work or participant that has pre and post tests in here. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to find one.
Let's see. Okay. Well, it wouldn't be Allegheny County ever, probably. It would be something in like Comico. Just trying to think. Off the top of your head, Felicia, can you remember the name of anybody who's on the hypertension list?
Uh-oh, so you put me on the spot. You know what? No, not off the top of my head. I'm sorry, I can't.
Mary Prince.
Okay, she said Mary Prince.
Okay, there you go.
I can't search by name here. Do you know a site or an organization that would have been done through?
Was that done here at MAC, Leanne?
MAC.
Here at MAC.
Okay. And do you know a site?
The site was MAC.
It was MAC, Harry. The site was MAC as well.
Oh, the site was MAC too. All right.
We're not trying to make your life harder, Harry. It's just working out that way today.
I know, it's my fault always. You have to blame me for everything. And I did promise I was going to be...
Oh, and see what happens.
Well, I can't find a particular participant, but if you had a participant that was in a workshop that had pre and post tests, then when you pulled them up under the participants tab and you clicked on pre-test, you'd see all the pre-test questions. And then if you clicked on post-test, you'd see the same questions but with their answers from the post-test instead of the pre-test.
Right.
Right now, the pre-test and post-test, you can't enter the questions yourself. You can only enter the results of those tests. But when we do the editor, then you'll be able to create new tests on your own and specify that this particular test has these 5 questions in it.
So you might have a COPD pre and post that had questions about breathing.
Yeah.
But what wouldn't change would be what's on the general tab. That would still need to be programming.
Okay. So let me ask you this. If we start to ask some other questions then, some condition-specific questions as you indicated, but we only ask them once, we could do them as a pre and enter them for let's say Johns Hopkins, all of their clients will have this series of questions that we're also asking. We're not going to ask the questions twice. We're just going to ask them once, but we could put them, we will have the ability to add them as a pre, but we don't have to have a post. Will that work?
Yes, you could do that, but I don't think you'd get the kinds of reports out that way that you want to. I think we need to have a different kind of editor if you're going to do that. And I think we did discuss this once before, having a different kind of editor for this. And I don't remember whether we decided to go ahead with that or not.
I think we were going to figure out the cost, how many hours it was going to be.
I think that's exactly right. It's pretty clear that we are going to have some risk assessment questions, and we're working right now, I mean right now is over the next month or so at least, to try to come to some agreement across the 3 hospitals about some of these things. So we've got some time, but yes, I think we need to know, and I think they're really an assessment, a risk assessment, not a pre-test. So I don't know exactly, Harry, where they would go. That's why I had asked initially if we couldn't have the flexibility to add questions to the demographic form rather than the pre-post.
Yeah, and I think we can do that. It's just a question of what it will take to do it, and we may want to put those on a different tab, but there'll just be one of them instead of 2 tabs like there are for the pre and post.
Yeah, and I think that would cover it. I think that would cover it. But we would want to be able to pull that data together with the demographic data for a report. Does that make sense to you? Okay.
And that's the reason to not put it in pre and post, because that would gum up the works if there was only one of them.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So that may be a simpler answer, but please keep thinking about that and see what the cost would be, because Leanne, you agree with me, right? We know for sure we're going to have some additional questions that our hospitals are going to want us to ask.
Asking us for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
We will get you that price really quick. I forgot about it, to be real honest. So.
That's okay. As I say, we're not there yet, but that will be something that I think will become more and more important. And while we may be able to get some consensus, I know darn well we're going to have, with one of these hospital partners, they are going to want something that nobody else cares about. So again, depending on, we may have a whole array and not ask all the questions of everybody. I mean, we can do it that way, but we just don't have them yet. But I know we're going to need to have that capacity before too long. So let us know what the cost of that will be, because that's critical. And we had talked always about this editor, and Leanne, I don't see us doing pre-post on anything else to you, but again, Harry, I may be oversimplifying. Leanne, do you think?
Well, I think we have to wait and see how all this rolls out with Chris and what the hospitals are going to want, because we've asked the hospitals to come back to us with things that they would want on there. So I think at this point it is pretty mature to even go there right now.
Right, except that I don't see it as being a pre-post that we're asking. I think it would be more like additional risk assessment / demographic information.
Now you're not saying that you're not also going to want some pre and post test data.
I think right now our only formal pre-post is the hypertension.
Okay.
So I'm thinking, Harry, what we should do is figure that price out and see where we can find that in the budget, or what we can move around, so that you can be looking and putting that together while we're doing the other editor piece.
Okay.
Right? Because that would make sense to do those together.
Probably. And that editor, by the way, is going to let you work with both pre-post tests and also satisfaction surveys. So this would be a third thing that it would let you work with.
Yeah. Yeah, I think in the long run that we would like to have that flexibility across all of these. Again, Harry, I think it's interesting because I just sent satisfaction survey questions to one of the hospital partners, and I know darn well that state form does not have some of the things that they would want to ask. So you're right there in having that and that's we do at the end. So this I'm fairly certain that the questions that we're also going to want to ask would be asked one time at the beginning in forms of this risk assessment kind of a thing. So yeah, I think about that editor as being something we could do with the 3 different reports.
Okay.
And I understand they're all separate, but yeah, I think we would want it. It seems to me that what's most important is being able to add something up front off the demographic, but there may be a time we would need it for pre-post, and I can see we could. There are questions around satisfaction that the hospitals routinely ask that aren't on our form, so they may want that too. In terms of measuring their quality assurance kind of stuff, their quality improvement.
Anything else anybody wants to
No, I think
talk about?
We have to get ready to go.
Okay.
All righty. Well, then we will let you know when we have this up on YouTube for you, and then you'll have it in your arsenal of training materials. And
great.